Step on up, sit down, twist off that bottle top or crack open that can, and welcome to Porch Matters. This is Terry Cagle coming to you from my back porch. Yes sir, yes ma'am, the name of this show is authentic. On Porch Matters, our saying is this: big issues or just a friendly conversation. No topic is off limits. We take pride in being able to talk about anything with each other in an open discussion. Open discussion is one of the only ways to learn. Your perspective could be changed. You could change the perspective of others. Friends and family, welcome to another episode of Porch Matters. I'm glad you're here. I hope everyone's had a great couple of weeks. I got a good conversation coming your way, but before I do that, if this is your first time listening to Porch Matters, I want to thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy the show, and I hope you like, follow, or subscribe on whichever platform you're listening on. Last week, I was able to take a drive north up to Indianapolis, Indiana to a men's retreat. It was at friend of the show Jarrett Samuel's church in Castleton, right outside Indianapolis. Jarrett's been a guest on this show 2 times. The last time we talked, I told him that I was going to get caught up in tribe. I did not. I got started 3 weeks ago, and if you're a Christian, you're going to understand this. The Lord has took me to the woodshed a few times the last few days. I've definitely learned where I've dropped the ball, not only as a man, but as a Christian man. One thing that I am relearning: only God can bring out the best version of you. Having more money is great, but money won't do it. Having the right woman by your side is fantastic. Women can see things about you that you can't see yourself. She's attracted to what she thinks that you can be, but she can't bring out the best version of you either. You can go to the gym and clang and bang and get yourself to where you have no body fat whatsoever and be chiseled like a Greek god. But that's still not the best version of you. I've even tried getting the best version of me out myself. I've failed, and so will you. Only God can bring out the best version of you. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm thankfully not where I was. If you're listening to this and you were a man or a woman of prayer, please add me to your list. The Lord is doing the work. I'm asking for my eyes to be open to some things. I'm asking for wisdom, and I'm asking for strength so I can do the things that I need to do on my own. Thank you in advance for your prayers. To continue the story, I went up to Indianapolis by way of Erlanger, Kentucky. I drove through Louisville and hung a ride on 71. I've never been on 71, and I got to see more of Kentucky than I already had. If you've never been through the state of Kentucky, it is absolutely beautiful. I stayed on 71 until it ran into I-75, and then I went north on 75 and swung by one of my company's yards. There's a lady that works there that has always bent over backwards to help me and my yard out. Her name is Patty. Several months ago, I made a joke about how me and my yard probably have made her go out and have to smoke twice as much than she already did, and I probably owed her a carton of cigarettes. It wasn't that far of a detour out of route, and I didn't know when I was going to be that close again, so I detoured out and took her a carton of cigarettes. If you're listening to this, Miss Patty, thanks for always having my back. I also got to knock one more state off my bucket list. I drove up 75 and crossed the Ohio River on that double-decker bridge. I am not a fan of that double-decker bridge, by the way. And I went into the state of Ohio. If you live in that state and love it, I can respect that. I don't know much about your state. I've been told it's beautiful. However, Cincinnati is not a good ambassador for your state. I now understand why Melissa always called it Cincinnati. I drove through during rush hour. As most of you know that live up around that area, there's only one way in and one way out, and I was stuck right in the middle. I'm not a fan of Cincinnati now. But I did finally get through and I hit 64. Took 74 over through the farmlands. It's really beautiful up through there, by the way. Went on over into Indianapolis and I found my room. I was able to have just enough time to get checked in, grab a shower, and change clothes, and I was barely able to make it on time for the retreat. Since I hadn't really participated in the program much, I didn't know anyone but Jarrett. Kind of stayed back to myself. I did meet several great men there and made some new friendships. This is not a paid advertisement for Tribe. I haven't talked to Jarrett about this. But guys, if you're looking for something more than what you got right now, if you feel like something's missing, go to pursuitofmanliness.com and take a look at Tribe. Tribe will be a game changer for you. It costs $150 to sign up, but I tell you what you get out of it's going to be worth it. Costs nothing to look. Jarrett is very authentic. What you see is what you get. The guys that are in Tribe are awesome. We might say as guys we don't need anybody, but we all need someone. If you're struggling, Tribe is a good place to start. If you're listening to this and you're in Tribe now, thank you for listening. Thanks for being nice to this fat boy who hadn't participated much at all. You'll be seeing more of me. I already registered for the next session and looking forward to finishing this session out strong. Now it's time for the Porch Matters food review. Me and Mom went to Mortimer Jordan High School this week for senior night. My cousin Riley hurt her knee playing volleyball this year, but was able to serve one ball so she could play in her last home game. Riley, I know the season didn't end as planned, but I love you and I'm proud of you, baby. After the game, we went to Majestic Pies. Majestic Pies opened in 2020 and they're open 7 days a week. They have trivia night on Mondays. I ordered their mega meatballs for an appetizer. Now, if you've met me in person, you know I got a big mouth. Normally, I would cut the meatball in half just for manners, but these were pretty big meatballs, so I definitely had to cut them in half. I also ordered their all meats pizza. One thing that makes their pizza great is the amount of cheese they put on it. They're not scared to add the topping to their pizza where others are scared to. Mom had their version of a cheesesteak sandwich. Good food, great atmosphere. Majestic Pies is definitely #fatboy approved. If you're in the area, swing by and tell them you heard about them on Porch Matters. Since I didn't post the Would You Rather question on social media, sorry folks. New question this episode is, would you rather be in a real life version of The Walking Dead or be in a real life version of American Horror Story? Me personally, I say Walking Dead. I think I'd rather stab walkers in the head and find friends with a crossbow, a samurai sword, and a barbed wire baseball bat. What say you? Go to the Facebook page, Facebook group, Instagram, or Twitter and comment your answer. I promise it will be there this week. Next episode, I will read your comment on the show. On this episode, Eric Pace comes on the porch. I tell this story in the conversation, but last time I was at the beach, we went to Lambert's. I walked up to the door and there was a bear of a man standing up there at the door. Next thing we both know, we're standing there talking like we had known each other all our lives. I asked him if he'd be interested in coming on the show, and he agreed. What you're fixing to hear is only the second conversation we had ever had. Thanks, Eric. Really enjoyed it. Hope you do too. Without further ado, let's get started. Eric Pace, welcome to the porch, my friend. How are you?
Oh, doing well, man. Nice to be here. How are you?
Any better? I don't guess I could stand it.
I hear you.
How you been doing?
Man, pretty good. Going about everyday normal life, working, doing the same old thing. Got a pregnant wife over here that's ready to blow up any minute. She's no, we're the due date I think is November 22nd, but it's likely the little girl will be here soon, sooner than that. Yeah, man. Kids doing good in school. Karate and football are going well for the boys, and living the life, man.
Well, I know you got two boys. How does it feel to be a soon to be father of a daughter?
I've heard stories about dads who became a lot softer, and people tell me I'm going to do the same thing, which I may. Who knows? But she's going to be the baby girl, and she's going to have two older brothers that are going to look after her. And man, I think it'll be just fine. That's what we both wanted. So
I think she's going to be spoiled rotten, and it's going to be great. That's what I think.
There's a good possibility of that, man. Yeah, she's already got quite the setup. She's got more than she needs already, and she's had it for a month or two now. So
there you go.
Her room set up, and all the toys and the blankets and the bows and the pink, and her mama went to town in there.
That's right.
Yeah.
How's she doing? She doing pretty good?
Yeah, she's hanging in there, man. We've had a couple of just, I guess, I wouldn't call them really issues, so to speak, but she had a few things that the doctor needed to check out and make sure that everything was good to go. But that was concerning mama, not the baby. The baby's huge, man. She might come out to be as big as me or you. Look, what is she now? You're what, 33 weeks pregnant? 33 weeks pregnant. The baby's already 6.5 pounds. She's been head down for a minute, so I think she's about ready to come out. But
I'm sure mama's ready for her too.
She is. But luckily the heat of summer is over, and she is clear of heat strokes and feeling terrible pregnant in the summertime. So yeah, man, the weather's been beautiful out here.
Brother, the last 2 or 3 weeks has been pretty nice as far as weather goes.
Can't beat it.
That's the one bad thing about, or good thing about a hurricane, rather. Anytime a hurricane comes through, the temperature drops about 10, 15 degrees.
Yeah.
So if you can find a positive in any situation, and I hate to see hurricanes come in, but that's the only thing that I actually look forward to about a hurricane. Although I am kind of crazy, I've always wanted to be in a hurricane party at least once.
Man, I love weather. I'm no meteorologist, but I love being in bad weather. So, an example, at the beach, in Orange Beach one year, I don't remember, man, it might have been 2006, 16, 17, somewhere in there, sitting out on the 15th floor balcony at Phoenix West 2 and watching two storm clouds, one from the south over the ocean and one from the east, come, and they met literally. It looked like they met right there in front of me. And the weather was okay leading up to that point. It wasn't like storming or nothing. Yeah. But buddy, them two clouds hit, and it was like everything broke loose, man. Umbrellas went flying across the beach. There were beach balls going everywhere. There were seats like flying across the sand. I was sitting up there in the balcony just watching it. It was crazy. It was the craziest thing I ever seen.
That's one thing about being on the beach. It can be sunny one minute, it can be storming the next. Then it's right back to being sunny again.
It's a rite of passage to be at the beach and have at least one day of bad weather.
Yeah.
The rite of passage. Yeah. Happens every year.
I'm the same way you are. I love storms to the point where part of me feels like I missed my calling in life. I feel like I should have been a storm chaser or a meteorologist.
Yeah.
This is embarrassing to admit, but I'm going to anyway. Whenever whenever I was a kid and the weather would come on, I tried to emulate the weatherman whenever he was pointing at the screen, talking about this, that, and the other. So I've always enjoyed weather. I love a good storm, even just a nice rain, whatever. It might be because I'm getting old. I don't know, but I just like sitting out on the porch whenever it's raining, just sitting
Yeah,
there watching the rain go. It's
yeah,
peaceful to me.
it is. It is peaceful. It's a peaceful sound.
Yeah,
It is.
it
You
really
know,
is.
I mean, outside of the obnoxious thunder,
Yeah,
but you know, the rain hitting the roof and
yeah.
listening to the wind blowing. You know, it is peaceful. It's peaceful.
If you're anything like me, the worse the weather gets, the better you sleep. I could probably sleep right through the middle of a tornado.
Oh, I absolutely can. 100%.
Truth be told, my snores louder than tornadoes.
Mine can get that way too, man. Especially if I sleep on my back.
If I sleep on my back, I'll rattle the walls, man.
Yeah.
What? That was one time I stayed in a hotel. I was with family and everything, and I found out later on that night that the neighbors started banging on the walls, telling me to be quiet because I was snoring so loud. It's a true story.
Yeah, I've been recorded before, actually. I was on a work trip in Vincennes, Indiana, staying at a hotel with a guy and my guy I work with. Matter of fact, my training partner still to this day. And he recorded me one night and he said, "You wouldn't believe how bad you sounded." So he recorded me, yeah, and I was it was sawing logs, man. It was like a rumble strip on the side of the interstate.
You brought up your trainer. This man right here is a professional arm wrestler, ladies and gentlemen. And
you will be too one of these days.
You're probably right. If I hang around you long enough, you're going to get me on the table at least once.
Yes, sir. Yes.
We were down at the beach this last time that I went down, and we decided we was going to go to Lambert's just to set up the story. And all of a sudden, I see a fella that's about 6'4", 6'5", looks like a big old grizzly bear. Got a very nice beard going on too. Standing there at the door looking like a bouncer. So he was up at the front of the line trying to protect the door for another group. So my bunch was about third in line. We just struck up a conversation and become fast friends. Eric, if you would, tell them your story, man. How'd you get into bodybuilding and how'd you get into arm wrestling?
Oh, well, powerlifting has been something I've done since I guess high school. You know, when we were
my mistake. Yeah.
I ain't the one dancing on stage in a thong, man. That's not me.
I'm sure if you was to ask your wife about that, she might like that show.
Look, man, she wouldn't let me. I tried to bring my American flag Speedo to the beach, dude, and she wasn't having no part of it. Well, she said it was too small, but I don't think so. I think it fits just right. So, so anyway, but no, man, I was powerlifting in high school, man. All the guys that played football, we had to powerlift.
Yes.
If you were any good, you know, and you were strong, you had to continue on. So, you know, I think we had it. I went to high school in Mississippi, West Lauderdale High School, Collinsville, Mississippi, the Mighty Knights. We had like an invitational powerlifting meet. That was the first meet. And the whole football team had to do that.
Right.
And so if you placed in the top 3 or 4, then you went on and did the regional meet. And then we had South State. We were in the South half. So then you moved on to state. But so I did power lift 9 through 12th grade. After that, went on to play a little college ball, played junior college for 2 years. 1 year at Scuba, East Mississippi Community College. My second year was at Itawamba. The transfer there was just mainly due to parents and whatnot. So,
Right.
So went up to Itawamba, left South Mississippi officially, and went up to the north half. After Itawamba, went to a little Division II school in Iowa, Upper Iowa University. Played ball there, and so I wasn't powerlifting in college. They didn't really have powerlifting teams in college, at least there anyway.
Not officially anyway.
No.
But you were still doing all the powerlifting exercises and everything else from high school up, just like I had to.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I went and went through college, fast forward through all that, finished playing football and finished what I had to do in college, started my career as a machinist. And once I was a machinist, the place I went to work at, back up 6-7 years, I pretty much quit lifting at a point. I got to a point when I quit playing ball. I didn't have any training partners. Nobody really around me to lift with. So I quit lifting for a long time. 5-6 years later, I get a job at this shop. I run into a guy. He had been a pro power lifter for quite a number of years, and was also a Army Ranger, retired Ranger, and a recon unit. Great, awesome guy. But met him. He asked me if I wanted to start lifting again, and I said, yeah, absolutely. We started back powerlifting and also doing strongman training, not just the powerlifting stuff, but we also incorporate some of the strongman events into our training.
If you would, for the folks that don't know what we're talking about, strongman is exactly what you see on the TV, but explain the difference between powerlifting and strongman training, because it's two different animals.
Absolutely, it is. Powerlifting is based on 3 movements: your back squat, your bench press, and a deadlift. Your powerlifting meets, that's what they consist of. Training, however, can be a wide variety of different things, different exercises, but they all incorporate the same muscle structures, and you're just training them in different ways. So, for instance, the great Louis Simmons, West Side Barbell legend, passed away not that long ago. But we used to use some of his West Side routines for progressive overload. But I won't get too deep into that right now. But basically, on our wave training, we would do a variation of squat, whether it was just regular back squat with a bar and, weight, whatever. And then the next week, whenever we did squat, we might use a different squat bar. We might use a different, like a cambered squat bar or a safety squat bar. Or we would do box squats, right, or some other variation of the same exercise, but you're doing a different variation. So you're training your muscles differently, which allows you to train more often and get stronger because you're not ruining your nervous system out on one movement. And the same type of training would go for a bench press variation or a deadlift variation. Those 3 movements are the main idea, but also you train overhead press hard, shoulders. You train your core just as hard as you train anything. If you have a weak core, I'm sorry, I don't care who you are, you're not going to be a good powerlifter. You're not going to be a good strongman competitor. You're not going to be an athlete in whatever sport you play if you don't have a strong core. I had a football coach used to tell us sometimes that when we got hurt, like if we sprained our ankle, it's because you got weak abs. We were like, what are you talking about, man? Like, no. Yeah, that's true, because your ankle's connected to your leg. It's connected to your waist. That's connected to your abs. It's because you got weak abs. Of course, he was saying that loosely.
He was. Yeah.
But you know, it's.
But
Core.
what you said is true though, especially in those movements, especially in the deadlift and especially in the squat. It's a full body workout.
It is.
It's not just your legs. It's not just your back. It's your whole body. And
You are tight.
I've always been told, I always hated squats whenever I was coming up. I did them, but I hated them. You know, I'm 6'7". I've always had weak knees, is what it is. But at the same time, I was always taught the squat was the most important exercise that you could do.
One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You brought up a good point about it not being just your legs, just your arms.
Right.
Because when you lift and you lift weight that heavy, you have to be tight. Your entire body has to be flexing. You're tense everywhere. Yep. When you're doing a squat, your upper back, your lats, your shoulders, your traps, your chest, your core especially is so flexed and locked in and tight that when you move, like you feel like a concrete statue moving just your legs, or just you're bending just at your waist. Right. And it's that, and it's that way because you have to be that tense under that much pressure. And I mean, there's different levels of powerlifting. I was never of the world elite level. I never had I never had a 2,000 pound total. Best total I ever had was 1805 in a meet or something like that. Which is an elite pro total, but there's guys out there totaling 2,400 pounds.
There's always somebody bigger. There's always somebody stronger. It never fails.
And there's somebody not too far from you. Ray Williams trains over there in Fulton, Mississippi, or right outside of Fulton, Mississippi, in Power Zone Gym. He, my friend, is a world elite.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken, he might have the highest raw total in the world right now. If he don't have the highest, it's top 3. And when I say raw, that's no wraps, no knee wraps,
none.
Sleeves, no wraps.
Jeez.
In a powerlifting suit that is not a geared suit, not a single ply, not a multi-ply, straight up powerlifting outfit.
How long has he been lifting?
I've been powerlifting 10 years. Well, I as a pro, whatever, as an adult, 10 years. He was lifting back before I started. So I want to say he played a little college ball too. And it just, one of them guys that just kind of stuck with him and he kept the training going. But yeah, he competes on Team USA in Worlds. He's got, I'm pretty sure he's got the all-time world squat record right now. It's like, I think raw, it's 1,100 something. Dude, that is sleeves, man. Sleeves. And he's walking it out. At Worlds, they don't do a mono lift. At Worlds, it's just it's squat stands. It's the old school squat stands.
Folks, if you can't see, I know you can't see my face right now, but whenever he told me that, I legit got a jaw drop.
You just look it up. Ray Williams is a daggum animal.
I believe you.
He's an animal.
If you've never lifted weights before, folks, anytime you get over 500 pounds, that bar is bending something serious. And he's got 1,100 on there, which means it's a modified bar.
It's a competition bar, yeah. It's usually a little thicker, probably a 55 or a 65 pound bar. Now, those guys lift in kilos. Don't get me to line. I'm an American. I'm on the U.S. system here, but the competition squat bars are usually a touch thicker, and they weigh 55 or 65 pounds, depending on which bar you get. The bar doesn't bend as much as like the ATC fitness bars. God, they're awful.
It looks you put over 500 pounds on some of them. It looks like some of them noodles that you go swimming with.
Man,
just sits there and just flops.
I folded one with 765 one day. Man, I was deadlifting. I was deadlifting them deadgum 8-sided plates,
Yeah.
that don't roll.
Yeah.
I had that jugger loaded out to the brim, deadlifting with some buddies up there. I swear, by the time I stood up, I don't think them weights were an inch off the ground. Like, I just pulled all the slack out of the bar to the point to where like the weights were just dangling, and I'm like, this is pointless, man.
Well, you technically you got it off the ground and you was at full full stance, so it counts.
Yeah. I guess. But that's not my only 700 plus deadlift. So I've done them in competition and stuff, and on the good bars that are it's what they're meant for. But
right.
You found your way back into a gym yet?
I joined up this past week, fixing to start Monday. Just like I told you, I was coming back into a gym.
Yeah. Hey, I want to tell you too. There's an arm wrestling tournament in Nashville. Ain't too far from you. November 12th. It's just one that's, I guess, relatively close. How far are you from Nashville? 2 hours?
About 3.
That's what I am. I'm 3. Yeah, it's supposed to be a pretty big tournament. I mean, if you wanted to come watch, kind of get a feel for the atmosphere, see the competition live. I don't know. I want to go, but that's pretty close to my wife giving birth, and so
yeah, she takes priority. That's for sure.
Absolutely, 100%. I don't know that I need to be that far away from home during that time.
While you're talking, though, you might be a daddy before then.
And that's okay. If I am, then I'll be there. If I am, then I won't have to worry about rushing back for a hospital.
There you go.
But yeah, that's the plan anyway. But that's a tournament coming up, kind of local to you, man. And if you wanted to come up and watch it, it's on Broadway too, actually, in Nashville.
Okay.
It's called, I think it's called like the Battle on Broadway or something. And they've got some big super matches and
bunch of ranked guys.
Oh yeah, it'll be a bunch of ranked guys there. Yeah, I finally found myself back in the rankings left-handed. I guess since they have their rules in the state of Tennessee. I live in Tennessee, but right outside of Memphis, they have their state rankings. And at one time, I think I don't remember if I was second. We talked about this at Lambert sitting out there, but I had not arm wrestled left-handed in over a year, and you drop out of the rankings if you don't. So I had to go get my rank back, and so now I'm back at number 3, left-handed in the super heavyweights. I think I'm weighing about 315 or something right now. But finally got back up there. I'm trying to keep my right hand ranked now because I haven't done anything right-handed in a while. This year, man, it's been a tough year. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of other priorities, and so just things that's taken my focus a little bit off of the arm wrestling. I've still been lifting, still been doing my thing with my training partners and stuff. We have a good relationship. There's 3 of us. We train in the garage. But it's all the powerlifting equipment you need. I wouldn't say all the strongman equipment because there's a lot of different apparatuses they use, but we train with the Atlas Stone, big round concrete ball. We train with farmer's handles. We'll load that joker up with 45s and we'll run up and down the driveway with it. Try to run.
Yeah.
Sometimes we slow down.
Well, tell the folks how you got into arm wrestling.
Well, funny story. So we were lifting one day, training for powerlifting. I think it was like right after a squat day or something. And at one time, we had quite a few people training with us powerlifting. I think at one time we had like 8 or 9 people that we all trained at the same time, trained together in that garage. So one day, one of our training partners brought a homemade arm wrestling table up there. He had been toying with it for a few years, but he had never taken it seriously. He just, I guess, would watch YouTube and thought it was cool and wanted to build a table and do that number. So he brought it to training one night. And after training, we got on it, was playing around. And, it was just kind of one of the things we didn't know anything about it. Our technique form was horrible. So, we were old school barroom arm wrestling is what we were doing. But so we played around with it. We liked it, and decided we'd go to a tournament and see what it was about. We didn't know anybody. We didn't know any arm wrestlers around town. I mean, we were like, where do you even go to find this stuff? Like, nobody does this stuff. This is weird, So when we get to looking around, man, and we find a forum that's been around for years and years and years. Happen upon this forum, and it tells you where these arm wrestling tournaments are, and it's stuff. So we find one in Nashville, Illinois. I don't know if you've ever been through Nashville, Illinois, but
I've seen it. I've seen it on a map.
I'm surprised. I bet it was written very small.
Very.
You had to zoom in to find it.
Very.
But I think they got like one gas station, one Mexican joint, and I don't even think there's a stop sign. I think the road just rides right on through, and there's a bar that's on the left. And I remember driving into that town, man. It was like you're driving into all these. It's like you're driving in the middle of a field of farmland.
A lot of Southern Illinois is like that.
And then all of a sudden we're like, dude, there's nowhere to arm wrestle at. Like I remember the GPS said we were like 3 miles away. Or no, not 3 miles. What even that? It was like a half a mile.
Yeah.
GPS said we were a half mile away, and we're looking out the window like there is nowhere to arm wrestle. Are we at the right place? And man, we pull up to this bar and see a couple of vehicles sitting outside, and walk in. We're like, "Is this where the arm wrestling tournament is?" And they said, "Yeah, y'all are quite a bit early, though." We thought. I mean, we were like, "Oh, I need to get there early." We left Memphis like 2 hours before daylight. And it wasn't like a 4-hour drive. It was quicker than we thought, but we got there at like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning.
And, yeah, you got there early.
Yeah, we did.
If it was in the bar, the tournament probably didn't start till after happy hour.
I don't think that tournament started at like 2 o'clock.
Really? It started that early? I
Yeah.
figured it wouldn't start till about 6 o'clock. Give people enough time to get some liquid courage in them.
And actually, dude, most arm wrestling tournaments start around 12 or 1.
Because there's so many people in there and have to work the bracket down.
Yeah. The tournaments are different sizes. I mean, there's some smaller local tournaments where there might be a total of 50 people there, including the family and the kids of the arm wrestlers.
Yeah.
But then you go to some of these big tournaments, and there might be 500 people there, and only 100 of them are family. Everybody, there's 400 arm wrestlers there.
Yeah.
So, by the way, that's likely to be what Nashville's going to be.
I figured a lot of your arm wrestling tournaments and everything kind of started out in a sense, kind of like the tough man competitions used to start out. I mean, you remember how they are. Me and you were on the same age range. Basically, They started in smaller venues and the bars and stuff like that. And then they got bigger and bigger and just worked yourself up. That's what I was referring to by that.
Yeah. But, to be honest, there's that very first tournament we went to in Nashville, Illinois, that little bitty bar. I'd have never thought it. It was Illinois State. It was the Illinois State Championship, and man, there were world ranked arm wrestlers in that building. You know,
World ranked?
oh yeah, yeah. And we're just like, wow. Here's a name that some of your listeners might recognize. The name Jeff Dobb.
I recognize that name.
DABE. All right. World's largest hands. Guinness Book of World Records, I think, for the world's largest hands. Well, he's an arm wrestler. And him holding a beer can, you wouldn't know he had anything in his hand. And him holding a beer bottle, you barely see the top of it.
Yeah, people swear up and down I've got big hands. I ain't got nothing compared to him. My hand's a midget compared to his.
His fingers are like size of people's wrists.
Yeah.
I love you. Jeff Dobb is an animal, and he's a big guy. Well, I say big. He's not like 6'5". I think he's maybe 6'1", 6'2".
He's built like a tank, though.
Oh yeah, huge arms.
Guys like that, whenever I lift, it always made me jealous. Here's why. Especially whenever they had a real big, thick barrel chest. They didn't have to go as far. They could always, you know what I'm saying? You got long arms like I do.
Yeah.
Those shorter arms always made a better looking arm, too. They got thicker really quick. And whenever you posed, it always looked a whole lot better. But I digress. Please continue.
Yeah. I'm with you. I've always struggled in the long arm category.
Yeah.
It's been that. That's why my bench press never skyrocketed into the upper in the fives and all that stuff.
Right.
But
mine was always respectable, but as far as the look went, I got as big as a 19-inch arm. I never could get into the 20s.
Yeah. I don't think I ever measured my arm, to be honest.
I did. I was curious one day. I couldn't help it.
Jeff Dobb was at that arm wrestling tournament, along with that's just, I guess, the name that non-arm wrestlers might know of.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, there were lots of really good arm wrestlers there. So that turned us on to arm wrestling. You know, we go to that very first tournament, we catch the bug for it. But we walk in there thinking, oh, we're pro powerlifters. We've got these elite totals, and we're the strongest guys in any gym we walk into, and we go in there and get smoked.
Just because you're strong don't mean you can arm wrestle. There's a trick to it, and there's an art to it.
That don't mean nothing. Yeah, of course, we competed in the amateur division. There are different divisions. And so we compete in the amateur division, and it was ugly. I've even still got some of those videos on my phone.
Do you really?
Yeah. And it was, I just, looking back on it now, I mean, as an experienced, quote, professional.
You got to learn somewhere and you got to start somewhere.
You do, man. You do. And if you're one of them egotistical people that can't handle losing, then that ain't the sport for you.
Right.
Because you're going to lose. Getting into it, man, there's a lot of good people. I've made some great friends. Everybody is willing to help you. They're willing to teach you. Now, if you get a little too close to beating them, then they might tell you something that is wrong just to make you think they're helping you when they really ain't. But
of course,
you
start messing with the man's wallet. I understand that.
Yeah. So, but man, for the most part, I haven't had any negative issues out of the sport. Tournaments have been fun. Traveling all over the country to different tournaments, Virginia, Florida, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Kentucky, Ohio, Illinois. I mean, I've been all over the place, and it's a lot of fun getting to travel and see all your friends, and people you don't. The arm wrestling community is pretty tight knit, I'd say, but at the same time, you can go to a tournament in Louisiana, meet some people not go back for another year, see the same people, and you're going to remember them. They remember you. Pick up conversation like you left it. It's been good. It's been a lot of fun.
How does your wife feel about you doing this? Is she a big supporter? She pretty much your biggest fan?
Yeah, she is. She enjoys going to the tournaments. Practice is just practice. In the famous quotes of Allen Iverson, practice?
Yeah.
Talking about practice. But she enjoys going to the tournaments. She makes friends with some of the other arm wrestlers' wives, and so they have their little wives group that they sit over there and hang out with while the boys do our thing. Yeah, she's always there to cheer me on. Both my boys, they like it. They like to get up on the table and play around. So she's doing good. She's being a good wife, supporting the husband's endeavors and hobbies.
Just watching them two boys run around over there at Lambert's, they look at Daddy like he's Superman.
Oh man, well, I try to be their Superman. That's all. That's the best I can do.
Hey, it's what you're supposed to do, my friend.
Right.
So that tournament's in November. You gonna let me know if you're going?
Yeah, I'll let you know.
If you let me know you're going, I'll do my best to be there.
Okay. I mean, I would probably know by the end of October, if I was going to go or not. Well, no, I would, because I would know if it's far enough along or not, whether I would have to stay around and be in the area, or we'd figure it out. Yeah. She's over here trying to discourage me, man.
She wants to make sure you're at home whenever it's time, buddy. He ain't leaving Mama.
No,
he ain't leaving Mama.
No, I ain't gonna leave her hanging. But when's the last time you had some good barbecue?
It's been a minute.
Look, buddy, we got a barbecue competition November 5th over here in Oakland, Tennessee, right next to where I live. It's a little backyard competition. It's not any kind of MBN or KCBS stuff, but it's a little backyard fun. No, it's the People's Choice Award, so all the people there are going to be the ones judging barbecue, and just tell them what you like, and I guess they draw it. Well, I think we drew numbers last year. Yeah, man, we're gonna cook some barbecue up November 5th. Try to see if I can bring that trophy back home with me, since it's nicely sitting up on the mantle up there.
Well, what you gonna be fixing, my friend?
Pork shoulder, ribs, and trying to figure out what kind of chicken I want to do. I don't know. I did the thighs last year. That's a popular competition chicken.
It's always the juiciest. I've noticed that. Anytime you go anywhere and you got a choice between thighs and breast, I've always been a chicken breast guy. But if you don't cook it right, it's dry as crap.
It is. Man, I'll tell you what, though, a jug of that Tony Satchery's Creole butter and an injection needle does just fine in them chicken breasts.
Better hush your mouth. I'm going to get hungry. I just got done eating.
That's the way to do the chicken breast, man. I do the chicken breast here and at the house, just cooking during the week or whatever. I don't do that all the time. Sometimes I do, but I was thinking about doing breast and just cutting like thin slices of breast for samples.
Yeah,
for the people to try. And because man, a lot of people can cook juicy thighs. I mean, that's kind of easy.
Yeah.
But if somebody took a bite of the chicken breast and it was tender and it was juicy and it tasted good, like is somebody really gonna vote against that? That's hard, man.
It'd be hard for me too.
Now, I mean, it's easy to knock a dry, nasty, tough chicken breast, but I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to vote against a good chicken breast.
I agree.
Wings, I think, are going to take up too much room on the smoker if I got to cook that many.
Yeah, they will.
My wing game's strong though.
Is it now?
Yeah, man. I love cooking whole wings. I thought about doing chicken breast. I might try it. I might brine
Yeah.
them, and then inject them and rub them down with some good barbecue rub and see if I can't wow the judges.
It ain't gonna be hard as long as the meat's good.
That's right. That's right. Cook it in the sweet spot.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Now you got me hungry, Eric. I just want you to know that. I just got back from eating. I'm stuffed to the gills. Now you got me thinking about barbecue.
What'd you eat?
I went to Golden Corral over in Coleman.
Oh yeah.
I picked out on some protein. Yeah,
That's right.
I really did. You know how it is. Go over there. As soon as you get, I'm sure you're like me. As soon as you get your plate, you go straight to the steak area. Tell them what you want.
Yeah.
You can tell them medium rare, and they're going to hand you one well done.
That's what you just tell them raw. Just tell them. Pull it out of the pan and throw it on my plate. I'll take care of it.
Well, I made 3 trips up there, so yeah, I feel about as full as a tick. Now I'm wanting barbecue. I appreciate that.
Anytime, at any time you're around Memphis, there's a lot of people that talk about the best barbecue in Memphis, but I'm kind of picky on my barbecue, just like I'm picky on my steaks. Yeah. There ain't many places that I'll go and order a steak. There ain't many, but there ain't many places that I go eat barbecue at either because I know where the good ones are.
That's it.
People brag about Memphis being the barbecue capital of the world. That's fine and dandy, but it's only the barbecue capital of the world because of the people in their backyards cooking it, and they cook it real good. You go to the restaurants and eat half the time it's garbage. If I'm just being frank,
there's some truth to that. There's very few places in Memphis, and I love Memphis barbecue. I have talked about it till I'm blue in the face, as blue as this shirt. I love Memphis barbecue, and there for the longest, I thought it was the be all end all, but there's only about 3, maybe 4 places in Memphis that I'll go to eat it.
I'll give you my top 3, mainly because those are the only 3 places I can think of that I truly think are good.
All right, go ahead.
These are the only places that I truly think are good barbecue in Memphis. Number 1, and I might get some kickback on this,
probably.
But number 1 is Cozy Corner Barbecue. That is on North Parkway, just down from St. Jude, if you're going back into the trees from St. Jude.
Now, see, that's one I've never tried.
Cozy Corner's a hole in the wall, man. You don't even really know it's a restaurant.
I'll have to check that one out.
It's mighty fine. Number 2, I think, is going to be Memphis Barbecue Company.
That's my number 1.
Yeah. Number 3, I'm going to go with Central. Central's good.
Central is good.
I've had all their stuff, man. And it's good. Memphis Barbecue Company, their pulled pork melts in your mouth. Pork rinds are good coming out to the table for you.
And I'm not a big pork rinds guy, but you put some of theirs in front of me, I'll eat them all day.
Man, I even put barbecue sauce on my pork rinds.
Absolutely. What else? I mean, what else is it for?
Yeah.
And those fritters.
Yeah.
If you've never been to Memphis Barbecue Company, number 1, you need to make the trip. Don't matter how far away it is. It's good food. It's definitely worth the drive. They're getting a little bit proud of it lately. That prices went up a bit, but at the same time, I'll drive 3.5 hours up there to Memphis to eat it anytime I have a chance. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I kind of missed that on my number 1. Number 1 is my house.
There you go.
Yeah.
He ain't a partial judge at all, folks. No, not a partial judge at all.
Now I got a partial judge in this house that dadgum is picky, and she will let you know with a quickness if she don't like it.
There you go.
So I try to please her with my barbecue too. So that's a strict judge though.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to stay on my game with her.
What would be number 4?
Whatever was number 3. What? Memphis Central. Yeah. Central's nachos.
Yeah.
Central's nachos, I think, is what makes them phenomenal. Now, people's ribs, look, ribs at restaurants, unseasoned
every time.
So what's the point even ordering them? I mean, like, why? Pork is pork. We all know what pork tastes like. We know what a pork chop is. I mean, we want flavor. We want some.
I think a lot of them do it just like they do with their vegetables at a country cooking place or fries or anything else. They're afraid to put any seasoning on it because they're afraid somebody they might think it's too much or whatever. I think they ought to cook it like they want to eat it.
It's like a vegan going to a steakhouse.
Makes no sense.
The reason why Cozy Corner is number one is because their ribs are phenomenal. Their whole wings are awesome. Smoked with good, crispy skin that bites and don't pull. If I'm being a picky judge on barbecue. And their brisket sandwich is awesome. And you don't find many barbecue joints around here anyway. You go to Texas, it's a different story. Yeah, I'm going to get to that. I'm talking about the meat right now. A brisket sandwich, and it's sliced brisket. It's not pulled brisket.
I prefer sliced.
Yes. And so restaurants just don't serve that. And when they do, the brisket's not good. But you can take that brisket out of that sandwich, and it's awesome. And the ribs are delicious. The whole wings are delicious. And they have the best peach cobbler that dude's grandma makes every day from scratch. Peach cobbler's awesome. So Cozy Corner is number one in my book. And those for those specific reasons.
All right.
Anybody can make pulled pork fall apart in your mouth. Anybody can make a good pulled pork sandwich.
True story.
But when you can nail ribs like that on a daily basis, and I've gone there more than once and gotten their ribs, and it's the same old guy in there running that smoker every time.
How often do you get up to Kansas City?
Oh, it's been a while. Not since an arm wrestling tournament several years ago.
Next time you hear about an arm wrestling tournament in Kansas City and you can make it, go. 2 reasons. 1, to win. Number 2, Joe's Barbecue in Kansas City. After you eat it, we'll talk.
Joe's Barbecue.
You pull up there and it's an old gas station. And honest to God, I hadn't tried your Cozy Corner yet, but it's on my list, and I hadn't tried yours yet. Right now, Joe's is the best barbecue I've ever had. We're talking ribs, talking brisket, talking chicken, pulled pork, wings, you name it. Knocked me off my feet. Yeah. I would drive if I had the time and the money, and somebody said, where do you want to go eat barbecue? I'll go right through Memphis, go to Kansas City right now. If that tells you anything.
I wouldn't stop in Memphis either. You might get robbed.
Oh, come on now. It ain't that bad. I love Memphis.
Yeah.
It is that bad. What are we talking about?
Most people that love Memphis don't live inside of city limits.
True story.
And they're mostly tourists. They come to see Elvis. And when you go down to see Elvis, that's the hot spot for getting robbed and shot right there.
I have never been to Graceland. I've been by it.
Me either.
But I ain't never been to Graceland. I love Elvis. But I don't care to go see his house.
Yeah, I've driven by it a lot of times. I used to work kind of near there. But yeah, I've never been to Graceland. And I've lived in Memphis since 2009, 8, something like that. No. And I've never been to Grayson. I don't care to go. I've seen it, driven by it a few times.
No.
But yeah, I live just southeast of Memphis. I'm actually technically living in a different county. I live in Fayette County, but I could hit a golf ball out of my front yard and it's going to land in Shelby County. So I'm pretty close.
Eric, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Anything else you want to plug?
Love your family. Be good to your friends and neighbors. Always be thankful for your blessings. Enjoy life. You're not promised anything. Work for it. Go out and earn it. Be a good person. I don't know. What else? Anything else?
You said a mouthful right there, my friend. I appreciate you.
Yeah, buddy. I enjoyed it, man.
Big thanks to Eric Pace for coming onto the porch. If you're interested in professional arm wrestling and go to a tournament, walk up to that big old bear and tell him you heard him on Porch Matters. You might make yourself a new friend. If you're new to the show and like what you hear, hit that like, subscribe, or follow button and download the episodes in our archives. If this show has been a positive addition to your life, please rate the show and leave a review. Won't take you but a minute, and it really would help the show. Find us on social media by typing Porch Matters Podcast into the search bar. Word of mouth is still the best way of sharing. Pick your favorite episode and share it with at least one person this week. There are a lot of people out there that have never heard of a podcast before. I sure would appreciate it, and I'll see you next time, right here on Porch Matters.